Good evening, San Antonio, and to all of our viewers. Thank you for joining us here at Alamo City Studios for the 10th anniversary of Dream Week in the beautiful city of San Antonio. We've got a great event lined up for you guys. I'm going to ask you, if you're watching online, please help us by sharing on whichever page you're on, whether it be Livestream Media Network, which I represent here. Shout out to Adam Ortiz. And, of course, Alamo City Studios. Be sure to click, share, like, all that good stuff. Invite your friends to watch. If you'd like to join us out here in person, we'd love to have you in the audience. Adam will put up maybe an address that you could follow and meet us on down here. So we're going to have a bit of an unplugged session for digital media. If everybody remembers the whole unplugged, a little intimate setting with some good... yeah, Salo's going to play guitar. It's going to be a great session. I'm sure everybody's going to enjoy it. So we're going to kick it off. I'm going to have everybody start by just giving a brief introduction of who they are, name, company you represent, and give the viewers a bit of an idea of what aspect of the digital media realm that you'll be representing here, because we got a lot of ground to cover, guys. It's pretty exciting. We're going to be talking about the past, the present, the future, kind of what it looks like, what we're headed towards, how it might be beneficial to you, your company. There's a lot of good information we're going to share there. So if we could start there, I think that'd be a good way to kick off the show, get everybody familiar with who you are, who we got up here on the panel, and we'll go from there. Hey, wait a minute. Black doesn't have a mic yet.
Am I going first?
Hear that. Yeah, let's start off.
All right,
with
my name is Philip Nelson with Nelco Media. I've been working in live video and streaming for 30 years now. And my phone is ringing right as this panel starts. Let me mute this.
Digital media.
This is the most unprofessional ever. But, I started off in live television back in the 80s and made the transition in the early 2000s to live streaming, working with a company here in town called NewTek, which invented desktop video, was the first company to produce television on a computer. And so I've worked with the MTV Video Music Awards, the X Games, a lot of reality television like the Hills After Show Party and
Nice.
Back to the Shore with the Jersey Shore cast. And then in 2017, I started Nelco Media. And basically we build out, modern TV studios. We did Joe Rogan's equipment for him at his new studio in Austin. We did Adam Carolla's studio in Hollywood, a lot of celebrity podcast type stuff. And then we also are, we did the Virgin Galactic Spaceport for Richard Branson, which was a good gig. Our newest, biggest project is we're doing all the video workflow for the new San Antonio esports arena that's being built down at the Port San Antonio. So the Port San Antonio Innovation Center.
Helping to build out the city. We're probably going to have you touch on a number of those things. That's quite a bit. So
I'm a nerd, sorry.
No, I keep it coming. All of us are. So we're going to enjoy it. And next in line is...
My name is Tommy Chase. I am part of Modern Ronin Media. Just created it last year. I'm a long-term director of photography, been working in and around the industry really since probably 98 when I was an art director at a branding company. We were doing narrative corporate videos. Left there for some reason, went back into the Navy and ended up in San Antonio where I was medically retired in 2011 and really been dedicating my time to really focusing on the art of cinematography more than anything. Right now, I am actually going to be the DP for Nightmare Phantom, which we're going to be filming here in San Antonio starting in March.
That's funny. Excellent. So it's funny you said that because Navy is an acronym that stands for Never Again Volunteer Yourself. Oh, yeah. So,
yeah.
No kidding. I'm Navy vet, so I get to hate on a little bit.
How's it going? My name is Kerry Valderrama. I am the CEO of Alamo City Studios. If you get a chance, come on down. We are a production facility downtown San Antonio. We house about 30 different companies, about 100 different people, and so we just specialize within commercial work, feature film, documentaries. We also have acting classes, musicians, artists, painters, so just really kind of a production hub here in the city. I've probably been in the industry for over 15 years. My background is within feature films, so if you get really bored, you can watch Sanitarium, which was a feature film that I did with Malcolm McDowell, Lacey Chabert, Lou Diamond Phillips, La Bamba. He was awesome. We did everything here in San Antonio and really just promoting San Antonio and promoting the film community here in San Antonio as well. So I'm also on the board for the Texas Motion Picture Alliance, which is the national advocacy group here in the state of Texas, and then also on the board for the San Antonio Film Society.
Excellent. And I want to encourage anybody again, if you haven't made it down to the studio itself, please come down, come meet Carrie, come check out the grounds, beautiful spot, get involved. There's a lot going on here in the film community. You'd be surprised to find out.
Hey, I'm Mark Solis. I'm with Love Marketing, and we actually office out of Alamo City Studios. Woo-woo! And so when we say marketing, or when we as a team say marketing, we mainly focus on analytics, what's actually bringing you customers, what's not. Should you stop wasting money on Val packs, on some radio, on some TV? There's like a bunch of articles right there, especially from Chicago School of Business, where TV is just not providing like the return it used to. So we focus on social media, and then the past 3 years have been more so on augmented reality and virtual reality, 3D animation, just 3D assets in general.
That's coming forward more and more.
My name is Saulo Rodriguez. We repurpose VHS tapes. No, I'm joking.
Betamax.
No, I'm joking. Betamax. Anyway, my company is S180 Media, and it's like a marketing company, and I try to help organizations, companies, entities, just because everybody wants to go digital now, but sometimes they're bombarded with so many ideas and what to do. So I try to sit down with them and try to create a custom package on how to get into the digital world.
Excellent.
My name is Carl Booker. I'm the CEO of Avista Products. I met Philip about 20-some years ago over at New Tech, a good friend Mike Parkhill. I am a graphic designer / videographer / photographer. We produced a national award-winning book called The Black Book. I don't know if some of you might be familiar with it, but we also have a companion piece to that is Black Video News. We're constantly doing, live streaming, projection, audio, and event production. So that's pretty much what we do.
Audio and event production. Got a great lineup here. I don't know if anybody remembers the movie The Jerk. I'm sorry, The Man with Two Brains, Steve Martin, same guy, same movies. Jerk's a good one too. But there's a character there who's surrounded by all these brains. It's kind of like how I feel right now, digital media-wise. Got like all these great brains up here. So it's important for us to understand where we've come from, where we've been, and where we're going, right? If we're gonna kind of have a vision for the future, what that looks like, what we're headed towards, what our mission might be, these types of things, how people might understand greater how to plug in. So I kind of want to touch on each one of those pieces as it relates to your individual part of the industry, right? I don't have to go as far back as like Commodore 64 or nothing like that, but we have come a long way, right? And in a short amount of time. I mean, even with just the digital age, like we're talking about in general, like you had touched on, from TV versus what we're doing today, live stream. There's a lot happening there. So I think it'd be good to paint a good picture of what it was when you entered into that industry, what you've seen it come to, and then we'll talk about where we're all headed. What do you say, Philip?
One of the things that's interesting about this modern age of streaming that we're in, television and video in general has been democratized. When I first got into it, you really had to have $1 million to get started.
Sure.
And then you may not even have everything you need. And as the technology has advanced, the tools have become more affordable and easier to use. But the challenge is, it's like when desktop publishing came out. They thought, well, no one's ever going to need a graphic designer anymore because now anybody can do a layout. But what it showed is the importance for having a professional in your corner, because now a lot of people could produce some really, really bad ads. And as we go into this video world, it's the same thing. When streaming was expensive and when broadcast was expensive, only people that really knew what they were doing were involved in that because you had such a high stakes investment. And now there's a lot of people that are out there streaming, and anybody can do it on their phone. And it actually, with so much noise out there, it makes the talent more noticeable because you can really look at a webcast and this is professional. Or this is dorm room video from YouTube from the early days. And so that's what's exciting about it. It's even the playing field the technology has. So now the talent and creativity can really rise to the top, and it separates the pros from the amateurs.
Could you say it this way, Phil, that back in the day the problem is that not many people could do it, but now the problem is that not many people could do it well?
That's right. You know, that's the joke. They call television a medium because it's rarely well done. You know, bad joke. Sorry.
Well, and on to what Philip just touched on. When I came into video back in, like I said, 98, 99, we stood up an entire, basically production company inside the branding company I was working for. And we probably spent nearly $150,000 on it. None of that technology today carries over. I think Phil and I, and probably a lot of other people on the panel, lived through what I would consider the three epochs of digital media. Mini DV, the Canon XL1, those type of cameras that really became a prosumer, where someone of maybe a higher status could go out and buy one and start creating narrative videos, to watching the 5D Mark II, and we get that really cinematic look. And now everyone has a green screen in their homes. Anyone with a base level Mac can start to do Unreal Engine and create stuff that you would have seen only 2-3 years ago on The Mandalorian. So as we come forward and looking back, the digital technology has really made it easier, like Phil said, for everyone to get in, but also to understand some of the basic tools and language that we use. There's millions of YouTube channels out there now, and some of them are just incredible with Star Wars fan fiction, Star Trek fan fiction, watching the production value and knowing these guys are doing this for passion, not to get paid.
Yeah, well, getting paid, that's like some scary stuff, all right? Because kind of what, Tommy was just talking about, we started our first movie shooting on mini DV camera when the prosumer movement happened 15 years ago. And then Red started coming out, and so then we shot our next movie on the Red 10 years ago. And now it's getting to a point where you already had this wave of indie glut that was happening, which is anybody that has a camera, anybody that has anything can create content and then just flood the market. And then how do you really discern what is of worth, right? And so now you have problems where distributors are coming in and they don't even know. And so now they're just flooding the market with content, and then it turns out nobody's getting paid for anything. And so it really it's a very scary time right now for the indie filmmaker to be maneuvering in this playing field, because nobody can honestly tell you, and I don't care if there's a sales agent, I'll tell you you're lying. Oh, I can guarantee you're going to make this much money in foreign and domestic sales off of your picture. There's nobody that can tell you that, because they just don't know. And so hopefully, I don't know, maybe a few years from now, we're trying to figure out a better distribution platform and better distribution models. But the future is right now, and it's a little scary. Now, on commercial, on the other hand, which is great, right? Commercial world, live streaming world, I think is really fantastic, and a lot of exciting things that are happening right now. Certainly within the pandemic, because before everyone would fly down to you. You'd get a client from New York or LA, they'd come down. But now there's no need for that because of live stream technology, because of all the technology that exists right now. The producer, the director, they don't have to leave their house. They can hire a team like Alamo City Studios. We put the entire team together. We shoot the entire commercial, and then they're just watching everything through monitors real time. Crazy world.
It really has brought forward the need for it all. And I tell you, normally I'm better at bantering back and forth, but I'm just captivated by what you guys are actually sharing up here. So I'll say up front, and I'm sure the viewers are enjoying it just as much. Thank you for everything you guys are really sharing from the core of your experiences, because it means a lot to those watching, I'm sure, to those interested in digital media in general, any number of the industries that you represent. So I think this is a really good panel. I'm enjoying it already.
Sometimes when I see, when you observe something, it's always sometimes to learn, to observe what's going bad, right? So I want to learn as well. Is there any bad things about everything going to digital? Like, what are your frustrations that you think, man, this is horrible because everything's going digital and they're missing what?
Well, I think they're missing a couple things. I started playing with cameras as a kid. It was never had enough money as a kid to own.
Which was your first camera, by the way? First camera.
I was actually stealing my dad's Canon AE1 on 35 millimeter film. It wasn't motion, it was photography. My first camera that I actually played with, I think it was a Sony, like VHS. I have no idea. And that was like a friend's parents' camera that we dicked around with. But professionally, it was the Canon XL1, the Geo1. Then, like I said, went back in the Navy. While I was in, I saved some money and bought the 5D Mark II. I had a 40D for photography, and so I already had some Canon lenses. But I think what's missing with all the digital media is some of the core basics, like framing a shot. Understanding just because you have a camera on your phone doesn't make you a filmmaker. And I don't mean to sound negative with that. YouTube has 3 pieces to it. The people actually out there doing narrative filmmaking, things like my channel and many other channels who are doing reviews and commentary, and then your news and just people doing their cat videos. And I think sometimes people in some of the other categories who aren't actually working with directors or cinematographers and breaking down scripts think they can just grab a camera and do something narrative, and it's film.
You know, I'll jump in. You know, the negative of this, the democratization of video, is that there's too much garbage out there. Yeah. And it makes it really hard, especially for a brand, and which you guys are in the marketing side of it, is educating them, because they come to you as an expert saying, what do we do? You know, we know our competitors are doing this, and they're doing, like, to give an example, I had a publicist. I was producing the Miss Universe pageant, and my publicist was like, you need to get a TikTok. So I did. I got a TikTok, and I realized within 5 minutes, I am not the target audience for TikTok, and no one that would hire me is going to be watching TikTok videos. You know, and so it's really about finding the right outlet for you, for your brand or your product or your story. And it's not one size fits all, and too many people focus on the buzzwords and the little hot things that, and TikTok is great, and there's a lot of people who do very, very well with TikTok, but you have to know, like she was like, you need to do behind the scenes at Miss Universe, and so I walked through the TV truck and did this, and I had about 500 or 600 people look at it, but I knew that it was a waste of my time, because none of my peers in broadcast are watching my TikTok.
Okay, can I push back on that? Because
did you watch it? Did you watch my TikTok?
No,
okay,
I did.
Okay, point is proven.
Wait, but you said this. This is why I love this conversation, because I'm gonna say this, guys. Please don't hate me. Is there a point where you feel like maybe we're too old and we're not in that world? Because TikTok is very powerful now, right?
Yeah.
Don't you ever go through that? Because you're a purist, I think, to a certain degree about media. But the media is going digital, and that's the new game.
Well, no, I'm definitely willing to follow all the different trends, as long as it promotes, in my case, where I live, is narrative work. So I'm trying to help my directors tell stories. And so if TikTok is a place that someone wants to go do a narrative, I'm down.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm like, all of my home equipment, everything I shoot on are all Reds. They're all digital.
Yeah.
So
do you have a TikTok?
Okay. I don't, because TikTok scares me. Because there
you
is
have a
that point,
TikTok
though,
account.
Yeah, I think I do. I don't know my.
But there is a point about the age. Like, I don't feel like people would be interested in what I say on TikTok at my age. I do feel like I can still tell a story.
Yeah.
Film-wise, but me personally, I just don't see a use for it for me.
Yeah.
I would disagree that you can definitely make content on TikTok for you. Maybe I don't know how many years ago where like it was this idea that TikTok is only a platform for younger generation. Like every one of these platforms is transitional. Facebook was considered that. Snapchat was considered that. And every other app before that, MySpace, and then they became heavily adopted by people. And TikTok is just one of those platforms where it's going to become heavily adopted by people. It's one of the cheapest apps right now to advertise on. So what we've experienced for our clients is that $200, $300 gets you 100,000 views on your video, and it can become $1 per follower if you focus on campaigns on just.
Now everyone's listening.
Hey, Phil, because this is a
gotta get you my
discussion. I'm
number.
glad you said that, because today I got somebody that wanted to hire me, and we're talking, and he says this, and can you do TikTok too? Now, Let me ask you this. Is there this unspoken battle between people that are producing for money and those that are producing because they love producing? You think there's an unspoken battle? Because, like, you don't want to get into TikTok, but I think
No,
you could
I
do
mean, I
amazing
just did.
at TikTok.
I just went onto TikTok, and 90% of the videos were like 23-year-old girls in bikinis, and I just felt a little dirty on TikTok. You know, I just like I'm not going to sit here and look at TikTok, but I'm not saying it's a bad platform. I think it goes back to right tool for the right job.
Yeah, I would agree with
and I don't think it's a battle. I mean, I think with anything you do in digital, if you're a good storyteller and you make something that's compelling to the right audience
Target
and then
audience,
distribute
there you
it to in the right platforms, it's going to be a win. So I'm not saying that I'm anti-TikTok. I'm saying that for what I was trying to do, it wasn't the right tool for the right
The
job.
right tools for the right purpose.
LinkedIn was way better.
LinkedIn?
LinkedIn was
yep.
great.
So you kind of segued into picking back up where our panel was at, and I'm looking forward to hearing what else you would have to say about where your industry has come from, right? When you stepped into it, because it's been a pretty rapid incline, and I could even speak to it a bit myself, being with Livestream Media Network and Adam Ortiz over here. We had a hard time in the very beginning getting people to realize the efficacy of the platform just up front with something simple as Facebook Live, right? And somewhere like New York was just outpacing us by eons because they understood the market value in businesses, right? A lot of businesses turned their marketing dollars to that platform. So you spoke a little bit about it from TV to digital. You talked about TikTok. That's a little bit about what the future might look like, and we could talk about what the pros and cons might be for that, some target audience type things, because it could be pertinent. It is, like you mentioned, Facebook, Instagram, all these different platforms coming forward. But tell us a little bit about what you've come through, where we're at.
So I guess to give context of how I might know where the industry is going is just I grew up on learning through YouTube and Twitch. YouTube was really cool for me to learn how to program and learn free software like Unity or Blender. Like you said, the democratization of software. It's people like me that are able to just learn off of what people put on forums, what people put on YouTube videos. And then when Twitch came around, it was crazy because you could live view someone that was making a game, someone that's actually part of a good team, or someone that made an indie game that you really liked, and ask them questions, see how they problem solve, and it speeds up your learning so much. And so I came from that, learning from YouTube and Twitch and online. So that's exactly where the industry is going. Is I mentioned earlier that TV, in terms of ad spend, it's not providing a return. That was done by the Chicago School of Business. Like the top 300 brands putting money into TV ads, which are, only the top 1,000 brands can actually afford ads on TV. They're not getting a return on TV, and so it's any new platform like TikTok or whatever comes next in the next 3 years is going to be so cheap.
Phones.
Yeah, everyone's using their phones. Everyone's only viewing like 15, 30-second videos, which is unfortunate if you want to kind of tell a narrative or if you want to do something that you're used to doing. But then everyone can just adapt to that platform.
I was going to say the same word. Yeah, there's been a lot of adaptation. We've seen that, and as a result of the COVID, like we touched on a little bit earlier, we've seen it come more to the forefront, right? But there has been a lot of people adapting to that mentality. When Adam and I were talking several years ago, when Facebook Live first kicked off, we kind of saw that trend already becoming a thing, right? Not that it was there already, but that it would become a thing, because people are always on the go. We're the digital media age. We're on the go. We're in our phones, right, constantly. So people don't have the time, so to speak, to sit down and watch the Hallmark movie or whatever it was anymore. They got the 30-second little increments, but that has shown an increase in that type of directing and production, right? Like to touch on y'all's world a little bit, that's now become not only 2 hours in the theater, but you've got all these other smaller segmented shows coming out more and more frequently, people doing it on their own, right? Like you were touching on, Carrie, a little bit, where everybody's out there doing it, but you do see some good content coming together where they're adapting to what they see as their tools, right?
Talent, just like everyone was saying, talent will always rise, right? Talent will always rise to the top.
Amen.
Especially within an indie glut era, it's even more prevalent than before. But with that, and talking about negatives, you have all of these sales agents and distributors that are coming out of the woodwork to take advantage of the other 99% of content that's just awful. And essentially what they'll do is they'll go to a filmmaker and just take their movie, right? They'll take their movie, they'll package it, and then they'll sell it for, a couple grand. But if they get enough, because there's so much of it out there, then they can grab about 100, 200 horrible films, not give the filmmaker a dime, and then make about 10, 20 grand off of it, and then move on to the next. And that's a serious problem that's happening right now.
Wow.
Thanks for the pep talk.
Saulo, S180.
Well, for what we do, we're strictly news. We're not a filmmaker. For the audience that we serve, they're strictly interested in event production. So for us, we've heavily invested in equipment. For us, it's really about the money. If we don't make money on the stream side, we actually do the event. So if you want to make money in the business, you actually do your own event, kind of like what Adam and what you guys are doing now. You have events where you charge to get in, you charge for advertising, and you charge for merchandise. So all those platforms we make money from.
Sure.
So that's the best way for us.
So this has really opened up that industry for you, having this
Yes,
available to you.
we are our biggest client.
Amen. Okay.
We make the majority of our money from us.
So have you ever gotten to the point where you can charge admission to view your online?
We do have a join. We're part of the YouTube network where you have to join to get that content.
To see the event, yeah.
Yeah, you have to have over 5,000 subscribers. So we have exclusive content in our network. So everyone else sees the public content, but then if you're a member, you get to see exclusive behind the scenes. We don't do TikTok, but we do behind the scenes on our YouTube channel.
So what type of events would we be talking about? I'm just curious to know what's
We've created our premiere, which is well attended, and we also produce the Black Worship Clergy Hall of Fame, kind of like what Philip does with Miss America. We created our own Mr. and Mrs. America, so to speak. So these are our events, and we need content, we need capacity. So if we don't make money on the video, we're making money at the door. Okay. So our plan is to do 4 events a year. Last year we weren't able to do that, but prior to that we've been doing at least 4 to 5 events a year. So if you're making anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 per event, that's our film. We don't need to do anything else. So we're good with that.
So this is a great platform for you.
And I was going to say that, before in the past, we would have these events and we would have panels, workshops, seminars, and we would have like a great attendance between, 50 to 100 people. And if we had 100 people show up, that was amazing. But then, of course, when the live stream platform came out and then you were able to put that up, then you got to see 500 to 1,000 people that are able to watch that, watch that panel. And so you're able to get that wider audience reach. And so, that's a huge benefit on live stream media and kind of what that's brought into the new digital age.
It's growing rapidly. So where are we headed, Philip? We've talked a little about some of the pain points. You've kind of thrown some things out there, how we're being impacted. So in your industry, you've done a lot. You've been in the industry for a good long while too. So you've seen progressively how everything has been changing just rapidly, right? So where are we headed?
It's always great to be the oldest guy in the room. Thanks for making me feel so good. No, but the thing is I mentioned this earlier. Video is democratized. Anybody can do it. There's free tools to go out and start doing streaming, and I don't really want to make a prediction, but I think the people that are going to succeed are the ones that find ways to leverage new platforms. The biggest challenge is people come and say, ooh, I want to do a stream to this platform, or I want to do this, and they don't think about where their audience wants to consume the content.
Yeah.
So it's really, the winners are going to be the ones that can find out where the people they need to reach are, and then communicate with them in the way they want to be communicated with.
Sure.
As you mentioned, the snackable content is one of the industry cliches. People that do the TikToks that are 10, 15 seconds, that's appropriate for that platform. And if you try to come in and say, I'm going to do 15 long formats all back to back, people will watch one and then move on to the next person. So, I'm really excited to see where, not to get too far ahead of the discussion, but with augmented reality, And it's funny. I love watching the media and the pundits talk about Meta. Mark Zuckerberg changes the name of his company to Meta, and all of a sudden this is something new. All I could think about was, dude, I was playing Star Wars Galaxies 15 years ago, which was an immersive world. So it's like the gamers are kind of winning right now because everything is coming into their realm, and these workflows are more about these. It's basically virtual reality for the most part is an immersive video game. But now it's becoming mainstream where dads are like, what is this Meta? They're asking their kids, because they may buy some stock in the company, And right now I feel like virtual reality is a little bit of a novelty. It's fun, and when you play with it, it's amazing, but it's not something you do every minute of the day. Where I'm really excited is, there's rumors of where Apple's going with this, and I'm really excited about that. When it becomes the Google Glass that actually works, where we have contact lenses and glasses that I can know everybody's name in the audience because your socials are coming up on my glasses. That's where it gets really exciting to me.
It's getting crazy.
And then it's when you get into that world, how is the content going to change? Because if everything is data everywhere I look, then how do I reach you with a video now?
Yeah, I was going to say that. So you're in like the studio space. You've been doing a lot of work in that type of realm in general for many years. So what do you see? Do you see that as a threat to it? And B, what are they going to be able to do to kind of move with that growth?
I think no matter what, people want to escape and turn off their brain and watch something. Whether it's small, short videos that they watch 500 in a row.
I was going to say,
or is it, I want to sit back and watch, who would have thought that Twitch would be such a powerhouse with people watching other people play Minecraft?
Yeah.
I want to play the game myself, but people are making millions of dollars just playing video games while other people watch. I mean, even like I mentioned at the beginning, we're building out this new esports arena here in San Antonio. Millions of dollars is being put into this. We just finished one up in South Bend, Indiana, and it's amazing how much money is being thrown into these areas because that's where the kids are, that's where money is, that's where sponsorship money is, and so platform almost doesn't matter to me. I always go back to reach your audience where they want to be reached, adapt and evaluate new platforms. Don't dig your heels in that we're going to be on Facebook or we're going to be on YouTube. You have a story to tell, whether it's like with Carl, he's doing the events and he's trying to get the word out about who the leaders are in these areas. And so he's finding the right platforms to reach his audience, and I think too many people get caught up on platform and then they forget the big picture of what's the story, who needs to see it, where are they, so that's not much about the future. That's about now, the past, and the future, but it's about being open-minded as you approach these. And I kind of sounded closed-minded on TikTok, and it was kind of tongue-in-cheek, but But yeah, the hot thing right now though is Mark Zuckerberg in a skeleton suit. I don't know if y'all saw that video of him. I just wanted to say, sweep the leg, Johnny. I mean, his publicist should have given him a different suit than the skeleton suit in his Meta launch. But, that is now becoming a hot buzz because billions of dollars is being thrown there. And then game engines, as multiple people have mentioned, Unity and the Unreal Engine are all integrating live video. NDI is a video, basically a standard that NewTek created. It's network device interface is what it stands for, but it's basically video over IP. Which is, once again, nothing really revolutionary, but it making it useful is revolutionary. And so you even see these game engines that are now integrating these live video feed, the capability to add live video feeds. So if I'm playing a game now and I'm walking down a city street and there's TVs on a wall here, I could actually buy an ad and my video could be on those TVs in the game. So there's new ways that these video, the content that's created can be leveraged to reach an audience in a new way. But really,
That's a
what's
pretty big
next
audience,
is just really looking, adapting is the key. Radio, I won't talk anymore. I'll stop after this. But in any industry, when there's a paradigm shift, usually the leader before the paradigm shift is no longer the leader after. It's called The Innovator's Dilemma, and it's a great book if you haven't read it. But it talks, the book talks about, when hard drives were 5.25-inch hard drives, the companies that made those hard drives asked their customers, do you want larger capacity or smaller drives? Sometimes customers don't know what they want, and they're going to say, I just want more capacity. Well, then Seagate comes in and makes a 3.5-inch drive, and they caught up in size, and the old leaders are no longer the leaders. And so that's what you have to be careful of as you have these platform shifts even, is you get so in the weeds focusing on here's what we do that you don't see what's coming and don't adapt to what's coming. And it's just about reaching your customer or your audience where they want to be reached.
Sure. I can't.
Sorry, I'm very long-winded.
No, you're fine. I'm sure everybody's enjoying here. I know I am.
I'm actually
everybody's
blown away,
enjoying it.
and I've known Phil for a while.
And he'll still talk to me. It's a miracle.
It is. I don't know why. But what I think some of the stuff that we're going to see coming up in the future is going to be a lot more in the narrative world. Things geared more towards smaller screens. Sadly, I think the days of full house movie theaters are probably peaked already. I don't know how many movies I've seen in the movie theater in the last 6 months, and opening day for Spider-Man, and there was half the seats were not sold.
Can I ask you a question about that? Do you think it was COVID, or do you think it's because people are losing interest on the big screen? Like, for example, like books. People, now you can get a book on a digital, but there's some people that still love to have it in their hands.
Yeah.
Well, I prefer to read paper. Like, I'll print out a 40-page PDF. That being said, I do think a lot of that was COVID hangover for sure in the movie theaters. But what we lose there is we lose that social connection. When you go watch a comedy at home by yourself, you're laughing to yourself. You don't pick up on all the little cues. A horror movie, that whole silent breath, like oh wow, that type of thing we're losing sadly. But on the same note, I do think from the creator standpoint, as everyone here has said, the internet has democratized filmmaking. And we're seeing better and better content. As Phil mentioned, the game engines. I can speak to a little bit to Unreal, but being able to have a green screen, like I said earlier, everyone through COVID got a green screen, so you didn't have to look at the crap on their walls during Zoom meetings. So now younger people who like gaming are now learning Unreal and creating stuff where they're filming with, I think it's an HTC Vive thing that they put on top of their cameras, and being able to really create high-end content. And like everyone else here said, the talent will rise, and we'll start to see more of that.
Bit of a renaissance of the digital age that we're kind of entering in a way, right? With it being so
definitely.
abundantly available and at the fingertips of anyone.
And on the hardware equipment side, I mean, there's light companies like Aperture who make some of the top-end film lights that are now completely affordable for a few $100s. You can get into these great light kits. You have your Sonys, your Canons doing digital filmmaking equipment, 4K, 60p, right out of the box for just a couple $1,000s. So the tools are out there now, and more people are starting to get their hands on them. So I think we're going to see a lot of great content come out. I'm just sad that we're probably going to see far fewer movie theaters full, and we're going to miss that social experience, which I think is one of the backbones of true narrative film.
And you're already starting to see that develop quite a bit. More and more film is going straight to something like Netflix, for example.
Oh yeah, and you can actually see it with Black Widow, The Matrix. Box office wise, they didn't do great because they split it. And I know people who didn't like The Matrix, and I said, "Well, did you see it in the theaters?" And they're like,
HBO
No.
Max.
but seeing, Neo 40 feet high and doing his bullet time stuff
it's
is a
an
completely
experience.
different experience.
Where did you see it?
I think I saw it down at the river, not the River Center.
Oh, yeah.
City Base.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Maybe I haven't been there in a minute.
Maybe I have seen it on the screen.
I mean, so there's an emotional piece that's going to be coming out in the future that's really going to, I think, help push this. That and alternative platforms to YouTube. I know for the creator content, the reviews, the political side, things like Rumble are getting big. Vimeo's never really come up, but I know so many people on my side of the camera that love to post their reels and post their narratives to Vimeo because the video quality is better. In terms of monetization, I don't know that we're going to see much more of small creator content monetization for YouTube anymore. I don't think that's their business model anymore, sadly.
I think the rise of all these other platforms kind of driving that out, huh?
Well, I mean, it's definitely the era of the streaming wars, right? I mean, there's no denying that. Everybody now has 5 to 10 subscriptions on whatever different streaming platform, and every platform is fighting for you, right? They're fighting for viewerships. And what's happening is that the content that's being created is amazing, right? So they are really putting all of their focus in that talent pool in creating those mini feature films on what used to be on the big screen are no longer there, right? The only thing you're seeing now are the gigantic tent poles. That's the only thing that's going to cinema. Everything else is going to streaming. And then they're just fighting for your subscriptions to be able to figure out how they can lure you in with high content and amazing, TV shows and amazing actors and everything else to be able to get you into it. Unfortunately, though, to like the indie filmmaker that even 10 years ago had a shot, right now is very much in flux on how they can even break into any of those platforms because they really can't. And so it's, I don't want to be sounding doom.
No,
anymore.
I agree with you, and I want to dispute one thing. I don't think it's the streaming platform wars. I think it's the rights owner wars. Because what's happened is when YouTube came out, you had one place to go to watch videos online. And everybody was uploading their stuff there, and good stuff happened and bad stuff happened. But now you have, and then you had Netflix, which aggregated digital content, and Amazon came in and tried to and competed with them. But now you have everybody saying, hey, I'm taking my ball and I'm going to go to my own court. So you have Peacock, you have CBS, you have Disney Plus, you have all, and it's weird because that makes it, like you said, Carrie, even more difficult for that independent to get in, because NBC is not putting you on Peacock unless they own it. Disney is not putting it on Disney Plus unless they own it. And that's what's really sad for the independent creator right now, is what made streaming great and made it democratized is kind of getting turned on its side now, because these networks are buying up channels, they're buying up content. And then it's like, look, if it's not created here, it's not going to be on our channel.
Well, and I was just going to say, for the record, no filmmaker makes a dime off of Tubi. So just know everything is going to Tubi, and not one independent filmmaker is making a cent off of it.
What is Tubi?
It's another platform
Another platform, yeah.
where all films go to die. You can actually watch 2 of my feature films that are on Tubi right now.
We're going to have a Tubi Film Fest.
We'll resurrect them, bring them some new life.
So, Carrie, I'm just curious, for all of us here, we all have these subscriptions. I think I saved almost $90 a month by canceling cable. I think I'm paying almost $50 a month in subscriptions. So at what point was cutting the cord the wrong idea?
That's interesting. I don't have any. I haven't had.
I just think it's the next evolution of going from Blockbuster to cable to everything else,
VHS
right?
over on the wall.
It's just another iteration, and this is kind of the new shift in where we're at right now.
I'm having a hard time seeing though where a lot of these platforms and the snackable content, things where people are creating all this type of content, how that really stands to pose any type of real threat to what I see how something like VR may, but all these other smaller platforms, and I've seen the content. I kind of agree with what he was saying, which is why I stay away from them. There's nothing of value on there for me, so I don't see how they could really pose that much of a threat to those of us out there still doing the work with the Reds and things of that nature. Do you know what I mean?
You're talking about the snackable content?
Yeah, just in general. So you're in the industry of making film, these types of things. Same thing as Kerry over here. He's got the studio. So I'm just thinking to myself, we have all these other little platforms where people are creating this content. Yeah, and people are eating it up crazily enough. Like we were saying, a potato chip, but it's a whole bag. Snackable content, but they're spending 3 hours zoning out watching these things on YouTube and on TikTok.
Well, I can tell you from personal experience with some of the content I watch on YouTube, if I see that it's more than 20 minutes, I won't even click on it. Even as someone who creates, it's because we have now been trained.
Got that kind of
5
time.
minutes here, 3 minutes here.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's really that will start to affect.
So you think
some
that
of the
will
big
become
networks.
the dominant face of
Yeah.
entertainment for?
Well, it's like if you've noticed back when we were all on TV, a television season was 23 to 25 episodes. When Netflix started
they're
doing
like
their own
8.
originals, it's dropped down to 10.
Yeah.
Now you have something like the Book of Boba Fett. I think it's 6, or the last season of The Expanse is 6, and it's just a way to.
Attention spans are getting shorter.
Yeah,
Nobody's got that kind of time anymore.
exactly.
I think people, we are training younger kids to have no attention span with the way that they're consuming content. But I can't help but go back to quality does win. And if somebody tells a good story and they do it in a very effective way, people want more. And that's why you have shows like Stranger Things, which came out of nowhere. And every, kid that if you had looked at the audience for Stranger Things, you would have thought this show needs to be in 8 minutes per episode, max. But then they came out with Stranger Things, and my kids 13 years old are like binge watching for 2 hours Stranger Things because it's great, it's well done, they love it, and so it kind of breaks that of everything has to be 30 seconds.
Right.
But I think as content creators, everybody's job as a content creator is to make something good. Do a good job, tell a good story, do it in a great way, and then you still have to figure out your audience and how they want to consume it. But I don't think it's not just black and white anymore.
I will say, like for the indie filmmakers, for right now, what I believe really needs to be looked at and concentrated on, which is quality of content and really spending time crafting your story, because all of the equipment is readily available for you, right? So it's nothing for you to grab a Red camera now and for you to grab amazing lighting kits now. I mean, it's all at your fingertips. It's just really spending the time to create that story, and don't even concern yourself with having to go out and raise $500,000, $1 million. Forget it. What you need to figure out is, how do I make a movie with like 10 grand? How do I make the best feature film for like 15, 20 grand, and then submit it out to the festival circuit and really try to
Find
get
your
it out there?
platforms.
And that's going to be the best way for you to go out. Because if you're trying to go out and like on these old models and saying, I'm going to raise $500,000, I'm going to raise $1 million, and then I'm going to do my feature film, you're going to lose every dime. And so that would be my biggest advice to any feature filmmaker or indie filmmaker that's wanting to break out right now.
And you offer a lot of that here, yeah? You have a lot of those workshops and equipment
absolutely.
available. So
And I agree with what Philip was saying, because after the invention of the remote control, people that make commercials, that provoked them to be more creative, to be more intentional.
gotta catch
So
the
it made them better creative. So you're right. Now when there's too much, I think creatives are challenged now to be a little bit more creative to keep people's attention, regardless if it's 30 seconds, 30 minutes, or 2 hours.
So how are you overcoming that, Salo? Because
I don't know.
that's your area now. You're talking
Well,
a
what
little
he
bit
was,
about producing shows,
I'm glad that he
commercials.
publicly is hating on TikTok. No, I'm joking. I know. No,
I'll never live that down.
But I think this is the frustration. Back in the day, when a new platform came out, you were like, "Oh, look at this! This is new." But now it's like, "Oh man, another thing."
Yeah,
Why?
another one?
Because as creatives, we're like, "Oh man, now I have to learn what it is."
how it works and how to work within that platform. And you're like, okay, now when Twitch came out, I didn't know that existed until somebody was playing a game. And then I'm all night, okay, how does this work? Okay, who's this? Okay, now how do I stream to it? How do I get the coach to that? And then it's another thing to learn. And then each one has its own algorithm or way it works or how you provoke. So I think sometimes, I don't know if it's because we're older, that you're at a point where like, I just want to create art more than learn how this works. So I think that's the challenge because I'm old.
So I guess when it comes to I'm going to try to touch multiple things that we've said. When it comes to the challenge of learning how these platforms work, you can take like your existing long form content that's like 1 hour, 2 hours long and find like little highlights of it. That's like a lot of podcasts do. They shoot their 1 to 2 hours and then they break down 15, 30-second highlights and post them on TikTok and YouTube Shorts and every other short form content. Let's see, where was I going with that? Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
You're creative.
So adapting to TikTok, it shouldn't be that hard. So I guess the point I was trying to make is that a lot of my clients are home services. So they're clients that you didn't think would want to be on TikTok, but when they see like what actually happens in analytics of like, hey, you got this amount of calls from TikTok, it generated you 30 grand, you only paid fucking 1,000.
So let me ask you to touch on that if you would. So what does that look like? What end of the business perspective are you referencing when you say they got the views, they got the calls? Like what does that look like on something like TikTok?
So it depends on really the goal of your campaign. So when you want to just do brand awareness, you want as many people to see your brand as possible. So that's one goal objective. So $200 to $300 on TikTok can get you to that 100,000. Then there's a separate campaign objective for followers that you would run different content for to just gain followers. You can get as low as $1 per follower. But you only need so many followers in your general area in San Antonio. You only need like 1,000, 10,000 to build up a really good, consistent streamline of business from just one platform.
So it's kind of similar to how Instagram first started doing those quick commercial deal, 10-second commercial thing coming up kind of thing. All right. So they do the same on TikTok. Mm-hmm. All right, so again, identifying your audience, finding the value and the merit, and putting it on that platform.
And don't only just advertise on that platform. Like, you have multiple tools, so use them all. Like, each one of these platforms has like a pixel, which is something you place on your website. And all it is so it's that can track people that go from your website across different platforms. And so if you can get a lot of people for cheap on TikTok, you place your pixel and then you retarget them on YouTube, you retarget them on Facebook, and you just get a whole lot better cost, and you get the people that you want to see the content a whole lot more often.
And does that look the same on TikTok as some of these other platforms where you're in the middle of watching content and an ad will pop up kind of deal, or?
It really depends. All of these platforms have different algorithms. YouTube ads will pop up more often, but Facebook maybe not as much. TikTok, honestly, the time I spent on it, I've only seen maybe 2 ads. So even though I run ads on them, I've never been exposed to that many ads on TikTok. I just know that it works well for my clients, and we at least tried it. You know, they're willing to spend like $3 to $5 grand on Google ads, so why not just fucking $300 on TikTok?
Yeah, it's interesting. I would have never thought of it as a viable platform for marketing, but I guess it's coming out of the woodwork too, like all these others.
I guess I better do something on TikTok tonight. No, just kidding.
We'll be looking for it.
Go ahead.
I tell you, for what we do, what I've learned with our news channel is what they're calling gamification. I don't know if anybody's heard that recently, but basically you reward your subscriber base different things. That was something new, and I didn't really realize that that was happening to me, but it was. So I have like a Macy's account, and I have these other accounts. So every time I spend like $10, I get 1 point.
Yeah.
So now you
Everybody
got
loves rewards, man.
Yeah. So what it brought me back to was back in the day when we played Mario Brothers, you got all these points, right, by collecting the coins. So as a business, we started to figure out, okay, we need to reward our customer for the business that they're providing us. So gamification is a new term, but growing up, having played a Mario Brother or Sonic the Hedgehog, we kept getting coins whenever we did a trick or whatever. So now you look at your customer base and say, every time you do business with us, we're going to give you a coin. So that's the new. You talk about AR, virtual reality. Now there's certain levels. You don't really get to, fight, King Kong. Back in the day, you had to go to different levels to get up there and
Right.
and battle them. So for our customer base, we have to reward them. So prime example, when we first started, I think we had close to like 60,000 subscribers. It dropped down to 40,000. But now we look at how to reward our subscriber base. We give them little trinkets.
So what does that
You
look
get
like
that-
for them?
It depends. So as an example, I always tell our advertiser that we have 40,000, right? Out of that 40,000, 4,000 will actually look at the email. Out of that 4,000, 400 will actually send an email or ask a question. And out of the 440 will actually spend money.
Spend the money. Okay.
So we got to do 40,000 to get 40 people to do something. And it's
real numbers.
it's a real investment. And because of that, they get rewarded. There is
Okay.
a reward at the end.
Yeah, I've always been in favor of that type of business model in general. Even if you have a restaurant, I think if you reward the loyalty of customers, they tend to want to come back.
Yeah.
So as far as all these platforms we've been talking about, things like VR in your realm for events, where do you see that kind of pushing your business model towards? Is that something you're going to jump on TikTok to have like little snippets of your events to pull in more clientele?
Well, for live stream, we have customers, right? The customer seems like they never want to go that extra edge. It's always, hey, have you thought about this? We have to put a price tag on it, so that sometimes the
not
clients,
easy.
the
Yeah.
client says, nah, we don't want to do that. But because we are our own client, we go all out. We do everything. We do 5-camera switch. We do special effects. We have a live DJ. I mean, you name it, we go all out. On average, our customers saying, that want to do live events, oh, we can't afford that. So what we do is we say, hey, if you have the budget, this is what you can do. So, getting back to our event production, if you get a chance to go to bvn.news, is our YouTube channel. We have LED curtains. We have, 200-inch screens. So all these things is a showcase for us. So if you have the money, you have the budget, you have the vision, we can do it all. So we have to show them that it's possible, opposed to, do you have the budget or not?
Yeah, and that hasn't always been easy, even for us growing up in the digital media realm here in San Antonio. Again, kind of touching on how some of the other cities were ahead of us in light years, understanding the efficacy of it as a marketing tool, right? So it was more an educational piece, which is why I think this panel has even more value than what we might suspect, because not a lot of people will understand or recognize the efficacy of what you might do using digital media and what some of the others might do using digital media, what it might look like for what they can do in the future with what's up and coming, these types of things. One that keeps coming to mind for me, just in general, kind of collectively what we've all been talking about, is I can't help but keep thinking of The Chosen. I don't know if any of y'all are familiar with that, but it was the biggest crowdfunding campaign available on an app where you can watch the Chosen film that they did in seasons, I guess, kind of similar to what you'd see in all the other streaming platforms. But to me, that's kind of like I don't want to say a poster child, because it's not collectively the whole digital media realm, but it kind of speaks to what we're developing into, right? You have a entire crowd-funded film, which I think is pretty amazing, and available on an app on your phone. So, I mean, you can cast it to your TV. Do you kind of see yourself growing in that direction with film and all that kind of thing?
One of the things, I'm glad you mentioned that, because, one of the challenges as a content creator is, how do you get paid? We got to pay for what we do. We got to pay for equipment. We got to pay for, our time and anybody that works with us. And, one of the things that's been very interesting, kind of getting very non-technical, but the comic book industry, people buying and reading comic books from the local store has continually been dropping. And prices of comic books have gone up to like $3 a comic book, $4 a comic book now. But what's really been interesting in the comic book world is these creators with good ideas, and Carrie did this, is they go to the crowdfunding. Because, you have an idea, you want to get funding for it. If you approach it from, I'm going to sell advertising, you're racing to the bottom. I'm going to sell, it's 10 cents per thousand, that doesn't help me. It's like, I'm a musician and I sell my music on iTunes, and everybody that listens to one of my songs on Spotify, I make 1/1000th of a penny, So if that's not going to pay for another album. But what's happened in the comic book side of things is you have these creators who've gone to crowdfunding, and they're getting people that become stakeholders in their project, just like The Chosen.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't about how much is it worth for me to watch The Chosen. It was, you know, would I pay $10? Would I pay $15? Would I pay $20? But they go to these crowdfunding platforms, and people will pay $50. They'll pay $150. They'll pay $1,000 if they really believe in the project. And so I'm seeing a lot of comic books now where they're getting crowdfunding where people are paying $15 for a comic book.
Wow.
Now, if they saw that in a store and weren't a stakeholder in that, they would maybe not even pay $4 for it.
Probably not.
And so as content creators, that's something really important to think about is how do you build stakeholders in your idea? You know, because Kerry has Obe, which is a great comic book, great property that he's developed, and he's done a very good job on building stakeholders, you know, all over the country that not only funded it on their crowdfunding, but then when they see it in the comic store, they feel like they're the reason it's in the comic store, and now they go buy another copy. I did that. I actually go to Alien Worlds, and no, I've been going to Dragon's Lair, and I'm like, where's Obe? I need Obe. And I buy a copy every time I see it. I just want you to know that, Carrie.
But at the same time, always remembering that, you know, even with crowdfunding as an independent artist, the amount of work that goes into it. Because, I mean, it is a full-time job that you're having to do. So just always remembering that it's not just something you can just throw up on
I agree.
Kickstarter and then just walk away, and then the money's just going to come pouring in. Oh. Thanks, Mark.
From the top.
It's something that you consistently have to work at. Just like any business, if you're doing a Kickstarter campaign and you're doing an Indiegogo campaign, they're really great tools and they're amazing tools, but you have to view it as any business that you're trying to run, and it's a full-time job.
But so is making content. You know,
This
we're
is
in
true.
a business, and if you don't think about how you're going to pay for this business, it's a hobby.
I just think a lot of people view, sometimes kind of misconstrue that they just throw it up on Kickstarter and be like, well, why didn't it make $10,000?
Well, it's
right?
definitely not Field of Dreams. Build
Right,
it and they
right.
will
And
come.
they'll be like,
but
well-
the same thing can be said for all these videos. You know, it's not just I'm going to make this great video and upload it and people watch it. You have to work. If you're a
Marketing,
professional,
advertising, yeah.
it's a business. Work it as a business. But you know these crowdfunding platforms are a great way to help you actually make money off
Absolutely.
your idea instead of just uploading it to YouTube and hoping people find it.
Yeah. No, 100%, but always knowing on the amount of work that is going to go into it.
But the other benefit, as I mentioned, though, is some people like to be early adopters. They want to be the people that discover something, and they'll back you. But then what you have now is you have a street team that is now invested in your idea, that wants to be proven that they made a good investment, so they're going to hype it when it comes out. So, you know, that's the great thing about these platforms and these tools is the people that figure out how to leverage them win.
Yeah.
You know, because I have a friend who was a comic artist at DC, and he got kind of blackballed by DC and created his own comic book and made about 170 grand on it on Indiegogo. And then he made another one. I mean, he's probably made 300,000 or 400,000 on comic books, and he's made, you know, 1,000 times more than he would have made as a page rate artist at DC Comics. You know, and you know he's not a filmmaker, and his plan isn't what you've done with Obe to see it on the big screen, which I hope to see. But you know that's something for all of us to really think about. Is you know we've got ideas, but you also have to pay for the ideas, and that's really my point. And the good thing is the tools are out there that we can pay for these ideas, but it's not going to just happen for you.
Yeah, and I think, like both Carrie and Phil were saying, it's a great tool, and it's just that, it's a tool. If you don't have a certain amount of friends and family who are following you, or if you're a YouTuber and you're trying to create a project and you don't have a certain amount of, I'll say, critical mass of followers, you're going to be spending more time pushing out your Indiegogo campaign than doing the content creation that you're really supposed to be doing outside of babysitting your campaign. Like Phil said, you get a couple really good people who are really adamant about you creating this project, they're going to do the work for you. They're going to share it. They're going to repost it. But if you don't have those people, you're going to be the one constantly badgering friends and family to repost and share. So I think, like I said, it's a tool that's really useful, but also so are so many other things. Going to your local film commission, seeing if there's any grants. Friends and family outside of the crowdfunding is another great way.
So we've got some people here in the audience that I think might want to take advantage of kind of picking some of y'all's brains possibly. So do we have any questions from the audience? Would anybody like to ask this panel anything at all? I'll be happy to bring you over, Mike. Yeah, looked like some of y'all might have, so I thought.
I'm interested in the construction of virtual sets, like LED sets, if anybody is looking into doing that locally, so that there's a Texas hub for virtual productions. You know, being able to film in a desert when you're not actually having to bring the crew to the desert type thing. Is anyone locally doing that?
Well, not physically, but like generally getting the idea of how a virtual production set would work and like what type of engine you would use. It's something we've done with some people locally, a little bit at Port San Antonio with Dale, brainstorming how to get something like that to work. But yeah, getting the LCD panels, the curved panels, the ceilings, and then getting a camera to work with an engine live in real time. And so you can just change the set, rotate it around 180 degrees. There's actually Epic, or the people who produced The Mandalorian, probably not Epic, but they used Unreal Engine. They put out a paper and a site on like how to go through the guide of how to set up a set. So even that's available for free that you can read up on.
Well, the good thing is the company I used to work for, NewTek, created a 3D animation software called Lightwave 3D, which was one of the industry leaders for many, many years.
I remember that one.
I know. I still know how to use it, believe it or not. But the cool thing is because of that, there's a lot of artists here in town. You know, there's so much talent in San Antonio. You know, when I started Nelco, one of the things that really, you know, I travel all over the world, and you know, you have markets like Nashville and Austin and LA and New York where they're very unified communities. San Antonio has as much talent as any of those communities, but it's one of the most siloed communities as well, where everybody's just kind of doing their thing. And you know, with Kerry and what he's doing here at Alamo City Studios and what I'm trying to do at Nelco, and even, I didn't mention this, but I'm also producing the 48-hour film project here in town. It's about building community because the talent is here to do it. There's a guy here in town named Jared Davis, which y'all may or may not know. He won an Emmy for the TV show Firefly, worked on Battlestar Galactica, visual effects guy. He's here in San Antonio. He works on some independent films, and he's super talented. So that talent is here to do Mandalorian-level virtual sets. And the technology now is so easy, and it's so available now. You don't have to have, you know, a Vicon motion capture system and $6 million worth of equipment. You can do some pretty crazy stuff with a simple green screen. Even a cyc wall, if you painted that cyc wall green in there, it'd be sick.
Suits are like $750 to $1,000. So.
But yeah, the talent is here. Nobody's doing it that I know of like hardcore. But there's a ton of people dabbling and testing, putting their toe in the water to do that.
Yeah, I do think that one of the big drawbacks for the virtual sets with the LED screens is just the initial investment. If someone's willing to put that in, I'm positive that would stay busy at all times. What you can do with it, from my perspective as a cinematographer, DP, is light years beyond anything you can do with a green screen, because we're getting the natural reflections of the light, and it really cuts out the whole compositing side, and we can get a talent out there and say, okay, this light's not working, or I want the sun at exactly 4:01 every single take. So we can play with all of that. Like you said, going out to the desert without having to go out to the desert. That also gives us the ability to, as Kerry said, work remote. That's one of the things that we're going to see, I think, for a while with COVID, is smaller crews, the essentials, the gaffer, the DP, maybe the director, maybe not, the talent that needs to be there, a few set dressers and prop people, and we'll be able to work very compactly, very quickly, And I think that's going to make a big difference in how the industry here in San Antonio or anywhere else. It's just getting that person to take that leap of faith and believe that once we get that type of setup done, they'll stay busy and they'll stay paid.
So I'm curious to know real quick which one's cheaper, because we're in Texas. We got desert. We got everything around us, right? So is it cheaper to buy all that stuff or just grab some people in a van and head out to the desert? I don't know.
Oh, well, I was going to... I'll let Tommy.
Well, it depends on how you're looking at it. If we're doing this as a backyard indie shoot, throwing a whole bunch of people in a van with a Canon 5D Mark IV.
Do it this weekend.
No cost at all. But if we're talking about doing something for a larger client, all of the insurance of moving people, the company move with the grip trucks, getting permits out in the desert, making sure that we're staying all within that. Everything. Like I said, we may have to do 12 takes, and the sun's supposed to be at 5:04 p.m. and it's moving as we're having to reset.
You never really think about all that kind of stuff. It's true, though.
But I was going to say, though, very much like what Tommy had said, was a perfect example is that, last year, maybe the year before last, we had one sound stage, and then we had a client come in that needed to build another one, and then we had that built within 3 to 6 months. So the minute the demand is there and a client's coming in saying, we need to build this, all the talent is here. That set will be built in 90 days. It's just waiting for that client to come in to say, we want to move forward with it.
So we got a follow-up question from the audience, and then I got a follow-up one for you guys, too. But
hey, guys, my name is Rodney Kidd. I just want to say thanks for all y'all are doing. What I want to know is, being that it's Dream Week, and we're talking about the future of digital media, do you have any cool stories to go along with Dream Week? And what are we doing to train the future, following in the steps of Dream Week, moving forward in digital media? Does anyone have any thoughts?
Yeah, well, I mean, I actually have a really exciting announcement that we're just now. We actually haven't announced it, so I guess it's going to be here for the first time. So we are working right now with Councilman Jalen for District 2 to start the first East Side film program in Alamo City Studios that will be starting within the next 90 days. And that is specifically to be able to work with underprivileged children that don't have access to fancy equipment, so that way they can come in here for free and be able to work with industry professionals to be able to create content.
That's amazing.
I guess in terms of other programs, there's Family Services over on Riva Street, has Teen Tech Center sponsored by Best Buy, and they also have a bunch of equipment to provide for students that want to come through their middle school through high school. And we've produced some augmented reality workshops there. So you can just go there and learn stuff like that, either website design or audio or really anything. Like a kid will just come in there and say, I want to learn how to make shirts. And so they'll show them how to, and they'll build out a print and press and make their shirts and sell them online, things like that.
Well, one story real quick. I know, Philip, you had mentioned a story that always touched me about a man coming to you in Louisiana and asking you to go to a certain part of town to talk to the children about TV broadcast, if I remember right.
Okay, yeah, I'll tell a shameless story. So yeah, it's interesting. One of my friends back in Louisiana was a black guy named Pete Turner, and he ran the boys club on the south side. And he came to me and he said, Philip, you're coming to the boys club every Saturday morning. I was like, okay, yes, sir. What do I need to do? And basically what he wanted to do is, he said he had all these kids that would come in, and they would, just hang out at the boys club. And he wanted them to expand their horizons and see the power of video. And so what we would do is, every Saturday morning, we would go to the boys club, and Century Telephone, CenturyLink, and they've now become something else, they donated the equipment for cameras and editing and monitors and all this. And basically it was just about showing these kids that, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. Well, video is 24 to 60 pictures a second, And at that time it wasn't in the streaming era, but they could air it on public access TV, and these kids could, shoot a video, edit it, and then their parents could turn on a channel on public access and see what they had done. And so, you know, it really is powerful. And so, you know, I'm glad that you asked about, you know, the opportunities for kids, because, you know, kids, all these kids all over San Antonio, they all are video experts now. You know, our grandmothers are video experts and our kids are video experts. You know, and so the schools that are just at least opening a door for their students to learn to communicate through video, they're opening a door for these students to not only, you know, tell their story, tell stories that matter to them, but also learn a skill that could be very profitable to them, you know, and make them very employable right out of high school. You know, the good thing about what we do in the creative side, you know, it's great if you have a film degree, and it's great if you have a degree in this and you know all the color theory and all that. But we're in an industry where raw talent can win. Yep. And so the more schools that add in these video programs, it's going to be so much better for our community as a whole. Because one, you're going to have stories that are told that are meaningful to these kids. It empowers the kids to tell these stories. And it's also teaching them an amazing skill set that's going to help them in whatever they do. There's no job on the planet that it is not beneficial to be a better communicator.
I was just going to say, and that's kind of the program that we're going to be starting here at Alamo City Studios, which is not only teaching content creation, but then also teaching how to market and how to profit off of that content. And then also showing them that San Antonio is a great city to be in, is a great city to film in, to be a professional working within the industry, to be able to stop brain drain and be able to show these kids that look at all the resources, look at all the individual professionals all around you. And so we're really excited about that as well.
And the great thing about San Antonio is everybody on this stage and everybody sitting in this audience and probably everybody watching online are people that love what we do, and we get excited about helping other people get excited about this. You know, so if a school called any of us and said, hey, we've got a class of kids and they need somebody to mentor, I don't think there's anybody sitting in here or sitting up here that would say no. So, you know, if you're an educator online and you're watching this right now and you have some kids that gravitate towards video, you know, we're here to help. We're all here to help. You know, I worked with a school in Pennsylvania, and this is a great story about the power of video. It was one of those at-risk schools, and these kids did not want to go to school. They did not want to write a report. They did not want to they just wanted to hang out with their friends. But they got into this at-risk school, and this one teacher said, you know what, I'm creating a video club. And what happened with this video club was pretty amazing, because it wasn't even an official program. It was a before or after school program, depending on when the kids wanted to be there. But he said, let's make our own game show. Okay, and so the one kid is in charge of the questions, and so now they're doing research on history. They're writing the questions and finding the answers, and he said, you know, in a way, they kind of got tricked into learning, you know, Pennsylvania history and doing a game show with their students, and what he found was these kids were showing up to school early and staying late because they wanted to be involved in this video program, and in order to be in the video program, they had to do their stuff in class. You know, so it shows the power of video, and we're talking about Dream Week, and we're talking about where we're going in the future. I think the real benefit is if we create a generation of effective communicators that have solid skills, we're all going to win as a society.
I'm glad you kind of touched on a lot of that, Philip, because I was going to ask the panel collectively a couple things. One, if there's anything any of you have currently going on in the city that's geared towards that type of thing. And two, given all the viewers, those who will see this down the road that might be interested in these types of industries, what are some initiatives they could plug in with, right? Like, are you guys available kind of to what you're speaking to guide them in one course versus another? Or is there anything that you could maybe say to them to say, if this is where you're at, consider these few options and head in this direction. You know what I'm saying? Like to get them going in the direction that they need to go, because I agree with you that there is a lot of talent here. But I also agree that a lot of them may not understand or recognize the resources available, like even what Carrie has here. You know, there's probably plenty that could stand to learn that today that might not have known that that was available to them. I mean, I saw some people in the audience pretty excited about what he was just saying, so I would only stand to reason that people online probably in the same spot. So if there's anything collectively in all your experience that you could say to some of these people that are kind of at the amateur level now or just breaking into some of these new platforms that got, you know, plans and hopes for the future and being the future of digital media, and how would you partner with them? Like what could they do to kind of bring themselves up to par?
I mean, I would first just say go onto our website, right? So AlamoCityStudios.com. Because
stuff.
we do have, not only do we have programs, but we also have seminars, we have workshops, we have panels, and most of everything that we do is free and open to the public.
Free. Come and knock on the door.
Yes, and so I mean, our facility, which is downtown San Antonio, is essentially a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week facility. You can come in at any time to do a tour of the studio.
Good
but we
facility.
also have film slams where anybody that has any content of any kind can come in and show it, and they can introduce themselves. Networking is so important. We try to be able to open that to the public as well. Film slams, film series, and then of course now we're going to be having a film program. So, follow us on social media. Not only Alamo City Studios, San Antonio Film Society, check out the San Antonio Film Commission. There's a lot of resources that you can go on to that have different events, different workshops, and then just be proactive and go out there and make content and find the people to be able to showcase it.
There you go.
My first piece of advice is don't be afraid to just show up. Because so many people suffer from paralysis by analysis, that they want to have their perfect film ready before they get involved in the community. That's the wrong attitude. Show up with something bad, and I'm going to respect it because you did it. You know, that's the key, and for kids especially, they're not going to they're video savvy. They've been raised on video. They know what TV looks like. My kids do some videos. I'm like, dude, they shoot better than me. It makes me sick, you know. But but show up to these events and talk to people. You know, don't just sit in the back and be afraid to talk to people, because we're here because someone else gave us advice and helped us. Every single one of us has had a mentor. Every single one of us has had somebody that's given us a chance. And that's what's great about the creative community is everybody pulls each other up to success. And so, if you're a teacher and you have kids that you want to get excited, call one of us. We'll come talk to the kids. That's the first thing. Just show up and let's watch some videos and talk about what's great and how you can make it better. And the great thing is everybody pretty much these days has one of these. And this cell phone camera is probably better than the camera I started on.
Oh, definitely.
That cost me $25,000. It's better quality, it's easier to use, it's easier to set up, and so start shooting. There's free editing tools. Blackmagic makes DaVinci Resolve. It's free. Download it. It's amazing. And you just download it onto your computer, shoot some video on your phone, make a video, and then come talk to people that are in the industry and let all of us help build you up and encourage you. Because, we all want this community to be successful. We're all fans of San Antonio. We all live here, and we want this to be a great community for creatives. And the only way that happens is if we all build each other up and help each other. So, the most important thing is just do it. You got a phone, you got hopefully a computer, and if you don't, I'm sure you know someone that does. And you need to go shoot and edit a video.
A lot of resources available up here.
Oh, yeah. And as what Carrie and Phil just said again, start, if you're really wanting to get in the film, start by just coming to some of the mixers that we do here. Come to the film slams. Even if you don't have content to give, talk to people. I think that's probably everyone's hardest thing, is making those initial connections. I was brought up by a mentor who worked for ILM, and I didn't know it till 10 years after I knew this guy. but it's that knowledge of what he was able to bring from his experiences that then influenced me on how I shoot. And I pass that down. I've worked with a couple people who were brand new, had no idea how to even hold a camera. So I think any one of us here, if you reached out to us and said, hey, I'm interested, do you have anything going on? And just like any other person who is a professional that's not up here right now, they're always looking for people. It may not be a paid gig, but we would definitely have anyone who's willing to put in the work come on set and help out. I know Carrie has interns here, and we will always accept people for my shoots. Like I said, we're doing a shoot in March. If you're interested and you want to learn about camera, if you want to learn about lighting, reach out. I don't think anyone here would argue at that idea.
Excellent. We definitely appreciate putting that all out there. So we're probably going to start wrapping it up here shortly. I appreciate all the input that everyone's given collectively. I know that there are probably many who want to know how to get a hold of you. We've said it a lot. So are there websites each one of y'all can plug for your respective companies that could be put up on screen, or so they can reach out, check out your website? Like you said, Alamo City's one of them.
We can put them in the comments in a bit afterwards. We can put it in the comments. So
there you go.
Just
we'll
click on
have
it.
some things ready for you there in the comments. So where do you see San Antonio collectively moving towards as we kind of wrap this up? As far as like, because I know, Carrie, you'll be real familiar with this, right? The whole film community and how at one point in time, for example, only a example, we had that whole tax incentive coming at one point in time, and that went away. So we have a pretty huge industry here, like people that are into digital media, people that are into film, people that are into acting, and all manner of other thing related, right? So where do you see us kind of heading towards collectively? What have you guys have all seen? Where do you think we're going in our city specifically?
Gosh, because I don't want to be gloom and doom again.
Pep talk, Carrie. Pep talk.
Don't look up.
I know, this is Dream Week, where dreams come to.
Hey, it's Nightmare Week.
So I'm trying to be as optimistic and as positive, because I serve on all the boards and everything else within like the state of Texas in the film incentive race.
Perfect person
and
to ask.
how we are not doing well at all within regards to it. But what's great about the city of San Antonio is that the indie spirit is alive and well, right? So, I just went to a feature film that my buddy Aaron Lee Lopez just directed and produced called Teenage Skip Day that they had at City Base. He's running that movie every single day for like the next 90 days. And so to say that indie films aren't being made here is ridiculous. They're being made. I would say anywhere between 3 to 5 indie films, feature films, are being made here a month, in the city of San Antonio. So now, are we getting the gigantic, Made in Georgia or, New Mexico feature films, or the Avengers 8 coming here? Not yet, but I do believe that our community is alive and well. It's very strong, and as long as that's going on, I'm here to stay.
Well, y'all do realize, how many people have seen Book of Boba Fett? Anybody seen it yet? Mandalorian? Oh, come on.
Nope.
Well, y'all know that the director of Book of Boba Fett is from San Antonio. Robert Rodriguez is a great success story for someone that's come out of San Antonio, and he does have a studio in Austin. But, a lot of people don't realize that one of the most influential shows on Disney Plus right now, his family lives here. He's from here. He went to high school here. And it's a testament to the talent that San Antonio can produce. And as Carrie mentioned, Carrie's thinking of it from a very high-level business perspective of recruiting film in. But that means there is nothing stopping anyone here in San Antonio today from doing a project here. And San Antonio is probably one of the major cities with the most easiest permitting process to shoot at the Riverwalk or the Alamo or anywhere around San Antonio. It is so simple to get a shooting permit here. And I think Crystal Jones and the people with the city have done a very good job of making it easy to make film here. We may not be recruiting, Avengers here yet, but we're getting the resources together in the talent pool so that we're ready for these things when they do come. So, soapbox, I'm stepping down.
Well, I think that the future is really going to be up to the people on the other side of these cameras and in the audience. You guys are going to be the next talent pool. And from what I've seen from the people I know out there, we have an amazing talent pool. And we just got to get you guys to get seen. So get out there and just start shooting. That's the one thing I tell everyone. Follow your scripts. Start writing if you're a writer. But you guys are going to be the ones making the future, not necessarily us up here.
Journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step.
And I got to get one shameless plug in because I am producer of the San Antonio 48-hour film project, and that's coming up in July. But what that is people will put together a team. You come in on a Friday night, you're given an assignment, a character, a prop, and a line of dialogue, and you have 48 hours to write, shoot, edit, and deliver a short film. And, you know, when we launched this last one we did, you know, I told people, I was like, how many people that go out and run a marathon really want to win the marathon? Most people just say, I ran a marathon, you know? It's not winning because there's only one winner, but just, to me, I've never run a marathon. I have no intention of running a marathon. I am probably the laziest person in here, but you know, anybody that completes it has won. And so with the 48-hour film project, just finishing a film is a win. And so you don't have to have the 48-hour film project to go out and do a film, but sometimes it's great to just have that line in the sand to mentally psych yourself up to say, okay, guys, we're going to get our team together and we're going to do it. And every year here at the San Antonio 48, there's a family that does a film together every year. It's a dad and all of his kids, and they always do a great job. They won an award this year. They're very creative, and they don't sit around doing film, you know, 365 days a year, but they always compete. And what's really cool about the 48, if you want to get involved with it, I'd be happy to get you information. But the winners here in San Antonio go to a national film festival called Filmapalooza in Washington, D.C., and the winners in D.C. actually go to the Cannes Film Festival. So it's a worldwide competition, and we've had multiple people from San Antonio make it all the way to France. So, wow. You know, if you're looking at just something to have a line in the sand to do something, come out and participate in the 48. Just get some friends together and go do it, you know, and just finish a film, and then we'll screen it, and we'll all celebrate and clap and laugh and have fun together watching these films that are done in 48 hours. So that's my shameless plug, because I really, you know, it's not a money maker, it's a money loser, but it's important for the community to just have these kind of events to go out and make your craft better.
No shame in it at all. Any final thoughts from anybody?
I think we just need to. I'm challenged today because you're right. There's a lot of talent in San Antonio, a lot. And I know we're all busy, but I'm challenged to. We got to collaborate more. You know, other different. A healthy artist is that one that uses their art and shares it. Because some artists around, not here, maybe in Africa, but they're silos just by themselves, and they keep everything and they don't want to share. But I don't think anybody's self-made. Everybody's made by somebody else and they help them. So I think we need to do better. We need to do better in that, in collaborating and stuff like that. So challenge today to do that.
I would agree. I would absolutely agree. Any other final thoughts? It's been a great panel. I've really enjoyed everybody chiming in from their respective industries. I'm sure everyone would have liked to have probably spoken a little bit more about their respective industries, but I want to encourage everybody online one more time from everything that you've heard from this panel. If you take away anything, just take away the fact that they've said many times, all of them, get plugged in, find out who your community is, reach out, find a mentor. There's a lot of good advice that has been given from this panel up here to the people that will become the future face of digital media. Like you said, the people out in the audience here, the trailblazers, those are who are going to create the community down the road. And that's going to take, right, joining forces with you guys, all the old goats, right? Sorry. yeah. Goat right here. It's all right. You're the goats of the industry, man, but you got a lot of collective knowledge and wisdom that these people need to be able to progress, right? To understand, because like I said in the very beginning, to understand where we're going, we need to understand where we came from. So it's not like they can't be successful where they're at in the future unless they understand what's collectively got them there, right? Like you're saying, a lot of people have the content out there, but it could be garbage, the majority of. but then you also get the cream that rises to the top. So I want to encourage everybody once more time. We're going to put the contact information in the comments. So if you want to reach out to any one of these people's websites, send them an email, say hello, I appreciated the content, whatever it might be, I encourage you to do so. Come on down, see Carrie here at Alamo City, plug in with Adam Ortiz. You want to learn more about digital live stream media. We've got events represented here, all kinds of things collectively represented on this panel. So don't hesitate. Get plugged in, find out what's happening in your community, help to steer and push your community forward. If you're some of that talent that we've been talking about, come on down and watch some movies, bring your clips, whatever it might be. I didn't even know it was so easy to get the permits here, so I'm excited, man. I want to go down to the Alamo and do a period piece. Are you down or what? We'll just throw something on. We'll make it happen. I'm down for it. We'll do a little 30-second snackable content. So thanks again for joining us, guys. Thanks for being here with us at Alamo City Studios downtown for a Dream Week 10th anniversary. We hope you've enjoyed it. I encourage you to reach out to us at any time. Y'all enjoy the evening. God bless you all, San Antonio. Have a great night.